To the emergency orders during a national press conference on Grand Bahama. The nation's leader taking on a tour of the upgraded hospital facility. And some good news for the tourism sector. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening. I'm Natalia Hall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news tonight, the nation's leader making a special visit to Grand Bahama today. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, hosted a live press conference at the office of the Prime Minister, where he announced amendments to the emergency orders while thanking Grand Bahamians for their sacrifice during the country's battle against COVID-19. The nation's leader thanking Grand Bahamians for their patience and sacrifice as he confirmed that the COVID-19 numbers are decreasing on this northern island. It was reported that since the end of July, there has been a 75% decrease in COVID-19 related cases presented to the emergency room on Grand Bahama.
I came here to personally thank the people of Grand Bahama for your cooperation during the various lockdown periods. Your actions and community spirit made an extraordinary difference in arresting the community spread of COVID-19. I thank you for your sacrifices.
Prime Minister Minnis announcing some amendments to the emergency orders as well. Retailers on all islands of the Bahamas, excluding New Providence, may now offer in-store service following all safety protocols.
The new amendments mean that retailers will be able to offer in-store service. Restaurants will be able to offer indoor dining services, provided they follow the physical distancing, mask wearing, and sanitization protocols in the order. Fish fry establishments will continue with takeaway and curbside services only.
Businesses may determine their operating hours between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. Residents on those islands may have small social gatherings with no more than 10 persons. Residents can now visit beaches and parks between the hours of 5 a.m. and 12 noon. Inter-island charters are now allowed, and as of Wednesday, September 9th, inter-island commercial flights will resume.
COVID-19 test results are no longer required for inter-island travel, except for those traveling from New Providence. However, individuals traveling from islands included in the second schedule, including Grand Bahama, will continue to be required to quarantine for 14 days upon arrival at their destination.
Exemptions for quarantine may be requested for persons who have an emergency. The nation's leader says the government remains committed to the island of Grand Bahama as they are aware of the economic struggles the island continues to face. He gave an update on the Lakaya Hotel project and the Carnival Corporation project as well.
I am pleased to report that we remain positively engaged with our development partners on these projects. They remain committed to the implementation of these projects, which I will have more to say about in weeks ahead. The government is continuing discussions with Hutchinson Ports, along with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, to finalize an agreement on the best way forward in rebuilding a world-class Grand Bahama airport.
He says the Department of Social Services and the National Insurance Board has made significant payouts to residents affected by Hurricane Dorian and COVID-19. The Disaster Reconstruction Authority has approved some 2,000 Grand Bahamians for home repairs. The Prime Minister says the government continues to invest in critical infrastructure to improve the lives of Grand Bahamians.
$4.5 million in contracts were awarded in June 2020 for major reconstruction to 15 schools here in Grand Bahama. $21 million has been allocated for the phased redevelopment of the Rand Memorial Hospital, and work is steadily progressing with demolition, new construction, additions, and renovation.
Now, following that press conference, the nation's leader, along with government officials, toured the island's premier healthcare facility and the international airport. Grand Bahama's COVID-19 unit will be online in a matter of days, and developments are being made to the temporary healthcare centers. Now, during that tour, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama gave an update on those facilities. Rumiko Knowles has more.
The Rand Memorial Hospital is practically a new building. This, according to the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, who notes that it was completely destroyed by Hurricane Dorian, but to date, there has been very good progress.
We saw the new COVID unit. The new COVID unit is completed. We only need to actually move patients in. And so we're very pleased about that. There's going to be an additional 7 beds that COVID unit is going to accommodate. We saw some of the other areas that have made some significant progress. We are advised that by the end of this month, we hopefully should be in a position to actually start moving in. The pharmacy is just about completed. The wards have made some very good progress. The operating theater, again, has been completed. And so we're seeing some very good progress with respect to the hospital.
Minister Thompson says that while the government is moving ahead with plans for a new hospital, when you consider the work that has been done to the Rand Memorial Hospital, it really is a new healthcare facility. Now, concerns have also been expressed about the clinics in 8 Mile Rock, West End, and Hawksbill. Thompson says upgrades are expected to be made at those facilities to alleviate demands placed on the Rand.
There is going to be an upgrade and actually a new build with respect to the High Rock Clinic. That work is going to start shortly. The West End Clinic, really, which was not that damaged as a result of the storm, will continue to be there to supplement. One thing we do have is the COVID unit at the Cancer Association, and we are going to continue with the operation of the Cancer Association. When that new COVID unit now is open, you're going to alleviate some of the pressure from the Cancer Association. But also once the brand new wards are open, you will also alleviate the pressure from the Cancer Association, and we're going to continue to use that. And so that's going to assist us island-wide when it comes to availability of beds and when it comes to availability of care.
Government officials also touring the island's international airport and were briefed on the work currently underway at the temporary facility that will be in place until a complete assessment is done. Until such time, Thompson says there will be an expansion of the existing facility.
What we saw today really is going to be a new entrance for international. So you're going to see, you saw a new entrance for the customs. You saw a new entrance for immigration. We also saw an additional space for passengers to be seated. That's probably about additional 200 seats are going to be inside that area. We're going to expand the number of airlines that are going to be able to be accommodated in here. It's going to be some additional space in this existing building, but now we're going to have an additional 2 buildings which will house new seating, and it will house immigration to make their experience a little bit better, and new housing for customs to make their situation a little bit better. They do not have offices now in this facility, but in the new facility they will have offices.
Rumiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
And some positive news for the country's #1 industry revealed by the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Dionisio de Aguilar, during a national press conference today regarding the phased reopening of the tourism sector. The minister announcing that the government is aiming to have all major hotels reopened by October 15th.
Our recommendation to the government will be the implementation of a 15th of October 2020 reopening for hotels on all islands to resume full operations and the full use of the beach, a critical component of our tourism product, and as will be shown in the Director General's presentation, the #1 reason why persons come on vacation to the Bahamas. This will allow our land-based tourism industry enough time to slowly ramp up to benefit from the traditional Thanksgiving travel period leading into the Christmas and New Year season.
He says the hotel properties will reopen with full beach access on all islands and access to amenities like gyms, spas, and bars. Now, the Ministry of Tourism is strongly recommending that all hotel staff be tested prior to returning to work. The minister noting that international travelers will be required to take an RT-PCR COVID-19 test 5 days before traveling to the country and quarantine upon arrival.
A person who is overseas, out of the country, and who wants to come into or enter the Bahamas, he or she must now apply for a travel health visa at travel.gov.bs. Before you apply, however, you must be in possession of an RT-PCR COVID-19 test, which can only be 5 days old when you arrive at the border. It was 10 days, now it is 5 days. Obviously, the shorter the period between the taking of the test and presenting at the border, the greater the accuracy of the test. Once you upload your tests, the newly formed Travel Compliance Unit at the Ministry of Tourism will review the test and make sure that it is negative within the required time period and from an accredited lab. If all is in order, your travel visa is approved via email.
The minister says to further limit the spread of COVID-19 in the community, all hotels will be deemed an approved quarantine facility and visitors will be required to remain on site for the duration of their stay.
Because the Ministry of Tourism recognizes that messaging is critical to instilling confidence from both our local population and our international tourism markets, we have carefully chosen language that communicates the act of quarantining, a rather harsh word that conjures up in the minds of the prospective travelers something most unpleasant, especially when you state that persons entering the country have to, quote, quarantine for 14 days, and some may have to do that, quote, in a government-mandated facility. Not very tourism-friendly. Therefore, I have instructed the Ministry of Tourism to stop using that word, quarantine, and start promoting to the visiting public the full VIP experience. VIP, vacation in place. Instead of designating the act of remaining on a hotel property as quarantining, we are instead referring to it as vacationing in place. The two procedures are exactly the same, and the VIP experience remains governed extensively by the protocols outlined in the emergency orders and the Tourism Readiness and Recovery Plan.
1 year later, many Grand Bahamians have picked up the pieces and are rebuilding their lives. Some of them, recipients of the Small Home Repair Program, are showing gratitude to the Disaster Reconstruction Authority for helping them to rebuild their lives. Romiko Knowles has that story.
The Disaster Reconstruction Authority Small Homes Repair Program has been rendering assistance to those persons whose homes were damaged during the passing of Hurricane Dorian. Over the past year, scores of persons have received materials and other assistance needed to repair their homes. Contractor Simeon Outen describes the process as smooth, efficient, and effective.
They were able to do it in 2 increments. After they came and did the assessment, they sent out the first purchase order for the materials. And then afterwards they came and do an assessment on that, and then they sent out the final one. So the process was quite smooth and very interesting. I'm pleased for how well it went.
Resident of Malibu Reef, Daisy Sanders, is one of many whose roof was compromised due to the storm. She was told to contact the Disaster Reconstruction Authority for assistance, and within 2 weeks, she says her roof was repaired. Designer dressmaker Bathsheba Eve Bow had similar damage and says the Small Home Repair Program has proved to be very beneficial.
That was the biggest damage. I had the roof damage, but because of the roof damage, I had all the smaller damage inside, but the roof was my biggest concern because whenever it rained, you got to put out buckets to catch water that's coming down in the rooms, and then the sheetrock, the sealant started coming down and so forth, and you know that caused mold and mildew. And I was concerned about that because I had no way of getting it repaired on my own.
We were taught for quite a number of months, but we were able to get some assistance, first with Samaritans, first with tarping, and then with the DRA, with the shingles and the actual work repair. which was quite interesting and quite easy once you knew the system, how it works. They do have a system in place, and for us, once we knew what the system was, it was a 2-week program, 2-week duration.
All smiles for this precious pearl residing in Marco City. Her roof was also damaged during Hurricane Dorian, but today it's repaired.
Oh, the system was beautiful. They handled me so, it was very good, because went from the first set of hurricane, we never get no assistance like what we get now. And they were very good to me, and I appreciate what the government did for us, because we didn't have anything, nothing to go back on, nothing. Everything was up, I'd say lopsided. And I believe only prayers bring us through with how good the government treat us.
1 year post-Dorian, these recipients say they're all grateful for the help they receive and give thanks to those who work with the Small Homes Repair Program.
I would encourage those who haven't benefited yet to don't give up on the process, because it's a lot of us here on the island who have suffered damage. And so just continue to be encouraged to know that they're going to get to you.
The staff was really helpful, especially Shamika and Valdez. They're the person who when I called the most, those are 2 persons I really talk to, and I feel like I know them personally because I know them by even their voice. So I would like to thank all who were involved in the program that made the process to assist me with my repairs. I would encourage the Small Home Repair Department to continue to offer programs such as this, especially to persons that do not have insurance, like myself.
Once the communication about how long it actually takes and exactly what you need so you don't have that go come situation, it works.
When I get through praying and thanking God for what all this government done for me, I can't forget. Mr. Valdez, I'll never forget you all the longest day I live. And I appreciate what all who in your office has done. It's more than 1 weekend, more than 1 point. All of in the office done an excellent job with the Williams family here in Marco City.
Rumiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Bahama Public is advised that as of today, Monday, September 7th, the Road Traffic Inspection Center on Grand Bahama has returned to the Foster Avenue location, and operating hours are from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. All examinations and interviews will resume on Monday, September 14th by appointment only. Persons are asked to call telephone numbers 602-9003 or 602-9005 to schedule an appointment. Theory exams will also be held on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. by appointment only. Candidates must be 17 years or older and must present a passport, an IB card, and proof of immigration status for registration. The public is reminded that customers without a mask will not be served and that strict social distancing protocols will be enforced.
Lord!